Listen, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll fight you in your back garden like a dumb Klitschko. I'll give you your book.
I want to unify. Is he up for the challenge? Like I said, I declare war. You know, this is not a battle, this is war because I was born in this.
Why am I sitting there like a spare digger away? While you are sitting in your mum's spare rooms, just tickling your bollocks.
Come and see me, baby. No more hiding, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses. Let's make the fight happen. Let's see who's the best. I know I'm the best. Are you up for the test?
I'm through. Hey, put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Negative. I'm good. I beat Polly. I left with his belt and his girl.
Logan was too fast. But it wasn't so much about, it was just that he was so fucking fast. Fast.
Amazingly fast.
Fucking amazingly fast. I was like, I thought Freddie was in there fucking hitting me too. So.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Going to be talking all things boxing today, and unfortunately in this show, air quotes, boxing with the whole KSI Logan Paul shenanigans. God damn it. We haven't had Rob on the show since to talk about this god-awful fucking air quotes fight. But now we do, and it's going to be fun. Plus, we're going to talk a little bit about the numbers of the fight, since Eddie Hearns out there mentioning, at least in some vague reference, what it's beating out in terms of metrics this year for both DAZN and UK pay-per-view, which I think is even maybe a bigger topic of discussion to have. But digressing, a lot of stuff to get to in the boxing world. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. Skype Mixed Comment Radio for international callers. Patreon.com/Mixed Comment Radio. And also go check out my new article on mixedcommentradio.com. But like I said, we got Rob here today to to talk that shit, to have the bants. Robbie Hearns in the UK. Rob, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back. I thought yesterday I was a little busy. Rough day, but I thought let Matt get it out of his system, let him go on his rant about the spectacle that was KSI and Logan Paul. But yeah, other topics as well to talk up, Devin Haney opponents and etc. So yeah, smash the thumbs up button, share the show, all that good stuff. But yeah, out to Dallas.
Gary in Dallas. Gary, what's up, man?
I'm in a little bit of a cranky mood today, so it should be a good show.
I'm sorry, Gary.
I don't know. I got a little edge today. I don't know.
Wait, hold on, Gary. Wait, hold on. You're telling us that like the other versions of Gary we've seen never have an edge to him?
Yeah, this one. It's like I got a two-sided edge today. I don't know. It's a little cranky. Didn't sleep much last night, so.
Were you staying up for Disney Plus like I was all night?
I was not.
Oh, okay.
I was not.
He was watching the 10th anniversary of a slam dunk
from Dwayne Wade, one of the greatest shooting guards of all time. But that's a conversation maybe for another time. But digressing, let's get into the KSI Logan Paul topic. I know Gary is hyped to talk about that one too, right? Definitely. That's going to help you with your on-edge factor. But let's listen to Eddie Hearn via SiriusXM. Ak and Barack, they have their own SiriusXM show, obviously with their DAZN obligations, duties, whatever, their job at DAZN as well. But they also have a SiriusXM show as well. And Eddie Hearn was on that, and he had some stuff to say about the KSI Logan Paul card. So let's hear what he had to say. Go to Eddie.
We know a little bit about the numbers, or at least expectations, or what?
Yeah, so the first fight did 1.2 million pay-per-view buys globally.
Wow.
This was much, much bigger this time around.
Wow.
So this was the biggest pay-per-view in the UK of the year so far. That includes Joshua Ruiz 1 from America. It was cheaper. It was half the price of that. I believe DAZN will announce some numbers this week, but I understand that the biggest viewed fight on DAZN Live so far, a big subscription driver as well. And it wasn't just those two key territories, it was all these other little territories when we look at the breakdown on Fight TV. Australia, Saudi Arabia, Eastern Europe, in Africa. I mean, it was just everywhere. And these guys, you don't realise the audience that these guys have. And they enabled our sport to reach new grounds, new territories, new demographics, new markets. And it's very, I see a lot intrinsically within the business go, I don't like this, I don't. And boxers, I've worked all my life. I didn't get a chance to headline Staples Centre. Well, you know what? One, you weren't good enough. And two, you didn't build your profile in the right way, because these guys have earned the ability to go into any sport or any activity and create a major entertainment.
I gotta stop it. I gotta stop it. There's like one more second left, but I just got off a word. So thoughts, Rob. I'm gonna go to you first, because obviously you haven't been on the show yet to talk about this fight. Period. Let alone Eddie out here saying that it did bigger than any other fight on DAZN, which maybe me and Gary can talk about more since DAZN's a U.S. Market brand. It's not in the UK yet, but it beating AJ Ruiz in terms of pay-per-view buys, and I forget the exact buy rate, but I know you have that off the top of your head. That is something that I think you can address. That's insane. The fact that this fight, air quotes, fight, okay, at 5 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning, whenever it was, outsold Anthony fucking Joshua, who also was at 4 or 5 a.m., but still, it's Anthony Joshua. Rob, are you surprised by that? Because that is pretty shocking, right?
Yeah. It is, but part of me thinks I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Fight Disciples, right? They both guys were denouncing the fight, saying, "I'm not fucking paying for it. I'm not watching these two guys."
And quickly, who are the Fight Disciples for those that maybe not?
Adam Cattrall and Nick Pete.
Yes.
And Nick Pete revealed, because Adam Cattrall said, "I came round, we were going to record the show, and what was he watching? The fucking KSI Logan Paul fight. I thought, you bastard," kind of thing. Anyway, they went into this thing, and he said he had his wife was going out, he had his kids. His nephew come round, 17-year-old, and he said, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" He said, "Oh, me and the lads are staying up tonight. We're going to watch the fight." And he was like, "All right, okay." And he said, obviously Billy Joe Saunders is on there and Devin Haney, and he's like, "Yeah, but you could tell he didn't give a fuck. He wanted to watch KSI and Logan Paul." And it just as the 17-year-old was leaving, he's like, "Why are you so into it?" He said, "Because they're superstars." And he said, "I just had this moment of that's what I'm missing. To me, these guys aren't superstars, but to this generation, they're fucking superstars." He said, this won't translate to you guys maybe, but like the Gallagher brothers, Oasis, if we were told,
I know they are.
Yeah, I know you know they are, but maybe it's bigger here than obviously Gallagher's.
They're 100% bigger in the UK.
But if the Gallagher brothers said, "Right, we're getting on," he said, we'd have been fucking all over this. And Adam Cattrall, who'd been super "I'm not fucking buying this shit," he was like, "Fucking right, we would." He said, "Yeah, we'd be." It's it's just different people, different demographics have got different superstars. But that being said, I am a little surprised this beat the Joshua thing. But I think, no disrespect to Andy Ruiz, but his shape,
I'm really
the casuals didn't necessarily make them want to go and buy this for
of course.
3 a.m.
AJ Ruiz was bigger in retrospect because of what happened.
Now the second one's going to be huge. I think the second one is going to eclipse KSI and Logan Paul.
And honestly, it should be more in prime time.
Yeah,
for the
we're
UK,
going to be
so
like
that's gonna be
9:30 for the ring walks.
Huge
like
difference there. That it should break the million like usual AJ fights do.
Yeah, I think so.
But digressing from that, let's now talk about the fact that it broke every US number apparently for DAZN. Now, Gary, we've had 3 Canelo fights on
Rocky
DAZN?
Fielding and then the 2 real ones. Yeah, so 3 officially. Yeah.
Oh.
But the first one still did like 480 or something like that. It still did like 400,000 live viewers, I think, in the US. Like, it still did a decent number, right?
Yeah, it did.
So just in that perspective, we now have a YouTuber fight that blew out all these Canelo numbers, and even AJ Ruiz, which obviously was viral in the moment. But again, we've talked about that just for the UK, but I think still in the US, that was bigger in retrospect and went viral. Whether DAZN got those viewers or Twitter did is, I think, probably the issue there. But the fact that Canelo fights that had promotion, that had, again, Canelo Alvarez attached to it, the biggest superstar in U.S. boxing besides Mayweather, KSI Logan Paul outdid it, apparently, or allegedly, per Eddie Hearn, in the U.S. market. Thoughts on that, Gary? Like, is that shocking to you? Because to me, all this is shocking.
It's shocking, but it's not, because we talked on the last show about how these celebrities, these YouTubers, especially in the gaming community, they have bigger followings than athletes, especially boxers, right? And Canelo's a star. Like, everyone knows who Canelo is. But, like, if you showed his picture next to Logan Paul's or KSI's, more people know Logan Paul and KSI, right? And that's why it did a bigger number. I mean, you may not think so, but, like, go out to the mall and hold up their pictures. Canelo next to KSI and see who knows.
I definitely agree with the Logan Paul, because Logan Paul is in the U.S. market. So, like, I've been seeing him for, a decade in my life. From Vine videos from way back in the day. Like, I've seen the Paul brothers. So, like, I know who they are. KSI was a new person to me on the block, and I only knew about him because of boxing, because he started doing YouTuber boxing, and that became a headline. But Logan Paul, I knew about him before because he's in the U.S. market. He's in L.A. too, so I'm more susceptible to seeing stuff about the Logan Paul brothers just because I'm in their market.
And yet you didn't get behind your guy.
There's two things I wanted to add to Rob. Okay. Well, one thing for Rob, and then one other comment I wanted to make. I absolutely know who Oasis is. Wonderwall and Champagne Supernova. Yeah, I absolutely know who Oasis is.
I don't know if I said the Gallagher brothers, you'd get who I meant.
Well, once you preface it with Noel Gallagher, and I don't. What's the other? All right, that's irrelevant. Liam.
That's what.
What are there, like 3 names in the UK? Like you say, Calum, Liam, and Josh, and everyone turns around.
There's a reason why everyone born in like the late '80s and mid '90s was named Liam. Gallagher brothers, man.
Yeah, I absolutely know who Oasis is. The other thing is Eddie Hearn said that he has guys coming up. I work my whole life. I don't get to headline the Staples Center. And then he said, well, you haven't built your brand right. You haven't promoted yourself right. He's the promoter. That's his job. Is that a serious comment by Eddie Hearn? If your fighter doesn't have the limelight to sell out the Staples Center, that's on Eddie Hearn. That's why he pays
or on
Eddie
Oscar
Hearn.
or on Bob or whatever promoter. Absolutely agree.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Who is Logan Paul's promoter? Didn't he do it himself?
No,
But why does he pay Eddie Hearn? Eddie Hearn's
I
paid to make him a
get
star.
you. But don't you think fighters could do more themselves as well? Don't you think?
I think a lot of fighters do a lot themselves, but there's a very limited amount of access that these fighters have.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like in terms of media access, in terms of opening the doors to certain companies, that is solely on the duty of PR, public relations officials or executives. It's on the managers, it's on promoters. It's on them to open those doors for fighters. And
But it's like a basketball coach saying, oh, I have all these good players, but my team sucks. That's on you. Eddie Hearn keeps telling us how he has all these great fighters, but then they can't sell out the Staples Center. Okay, that's on you, Eddie Hearn.
I agree with Gary's point there. I understand the point entirely, and it makes sense. I mean, again, if you're the promoter and you're complaining about fighters' lack of promotional viability, then maybe there's something that you guys need to fix as promoters. Now, maybe Eddie does a great job as a promoter, but on the whole, that point is true. That it does seem like promoters point the fingers at fighters a lot for their issues. But beside that point, because that's a rabbit hole made for another time, back to DAZN, Sky, and this fight breaking numbers this year, or breaking records this year. Does anyone else see this as a significant issue for DAZN long term? Because the fact that you have all these Canelo fights in the past, you've had 3 Canelo fights. You've had 1 AJ fight, going on 2 now. Oh, no. Was AJ Povetkin on DAZN? Trying to remember.
Yeah.
So it's two AJ fights. Okay. None of those were able to garner the attention or the brand awareness from the sporting audience the way that this YouTuber fight did. And can we all agree that even though we're going to talk about in a second that DAZN is clearly out there right now pushing for more YouTuber fights.
Asking if you want more YouTuber fights.
Pushing. Same
it's
thing.
a survey.
Same thing.
No, it's not.
It is, Rob, but let me finish my point, please.
Okay.
That this is a flash in the pan, so to speak, short term. That you cannot replicate this long term. That YouTuber fights long term is a viable business model for DAZN, right? Can we all agree on that? Rob, even like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, so if they double down on this, if this is their highest successful thing they've done in the U.S. market, is that not a sign of concern that their brand is stagnated thus far in terms of the sporting market? Because that's the market they're trying to grab and be a part of. But so far, it's been something that's not sporting related, really, let's be honest, that's grabbing the most attention. Is there an issue there, guys?
Yes.
Expound on that, Gary.
Because it's look, I knew that thing was going to do well.
Of course,
right?
Yeah, we knew it was going to do well.
It shouldn't do better than. I'm going to reserve that. It's not a great sign. I don't think AJ Ruiz is going to do a bigger number than this fight, and that's going to be problematic because that means you didn't hold any of those fans that kept that ordered the app for the fight. You know, for the YouTube fight.
And when you say that, you're talking purely DAZN numbers. I think
right.
UK pay-per-view might be different, right? Obviously.
Yeah, and I'll let Rob address that. I'm talking from a U.S. perspective.
Yes, okay.
Right. I don't think this is going to do more. That the Ruiz AJ fight is going to do a bigger number than that did, and that's a problem because you didn't keep your DAZN subscribers. They only ordered it for this one-off silly dopey thing, and then they didn't keep it. Where I'm sure you're happy to take their $20, but the real goal is to keep that $20 coming each month, and you didn't accomplish that. And with Canelo and AJ, the two biggest stars in the U.S. and the U.K., to have both of them and not be able to keep subscribers is not a great sign.
That's you saying it won't. Joshua Ruiz won't do that number. Again, it's not a great time of the day for you guys. It's up against college football and stuff like that. That's why DAZN wanted it in the US, because I think it would have garnered a lot of attention had it been prime time in the US. But that's going to be an issue. I mean, as far as UK numbers, if this has beaten Joshua Ruiz, which according to reports was 562,000 buys. I mean, yeah, that's crazy, but I don't know. For me, it was an experiment. I don't know if they're going to do it again or whether they're going to try maybe put another one on an undercard to try and keep what did sign up. That was kind of the rumor at one point, whether Logan Paul, the WBC amateur champion, is is gonna be on a card or not. I don't necessarily think there's going to be a headline YouTuber thing with boxers underneath it again. I think
there will be, to be honest. I think they're going to try it again.
I don't know. Depends what you vote on yourself.
I wanted to add one thing.
Quickly, since he's mentioned that a couple times, let me just briefly address the whole survey thing. Thank you, Boxing Scene, for pointing this out, because I'm a DAZN subscriber, and I've been since they've started, and I didn't get this survey. That seems weird. Saying we may be treated to some more YouTube fights based on some of the questions in a recent emailed survey from DAZN. First one says, thinking back to the Paul Logan versus KSI fight, which, by the way, gotta fix that shit. Just Logan Paul. Imagine there was a boxing tournament that featured YouTube celebrity personalities that ran throughout the year. How interested would you be in watching this boxing competition like that? Extremely interested, very interested, blah, blah. Next one. Would any of the below content make you reconsider or keep your subscription to DAZN? Other YouTube celebrity boxing fights like Jake Paul, some other guys I don't know. Exclusive Logan Paul and KSI videos. More original DAZN content, i.e. 40 days. Esports content. Other. Why not fucking sports, DAZN? I know that's like a crazy concept for the, quote, Netflix of sports to have sports on it. And another one saying, are there any other YouTubers or celebrities that you would like to see fight in a boxing match with a bunch of names I don't know? No, I don't want any of these names on my fucking DAZN app. Please stop this, DAZN. For the love of God.
Click not interested.
I didn't get this. I did not get the survey, DAZN. Bad customer service there. You are supposed to be the Netflix of sports, and you're doubling down on this shit. Pathetic.
I wanted to make one point. It won't be up against college football. The conference championship games are all the week before. It's always the second Saturday of the December.
Okay.
The first is a Saturday. So the conference games are actually like a week earlier than they usually are. So it's actually not against college football. The way it works in America is all the conference championship games. So that game would be up against the SEC championship game.
Oh, that's the one.
Which would be like Alabama. Well, now it would be LSU versus Georgia, which would do a massive rating.
Yeah.
In the U.S. Now it's actually like that's a week earlier than it typically is, or almost a week earlier. So it's not against that, which is.
Look at that. DAZN got them to move the date. Fantastic.
Yes.
No, I think in the build-up, I heard that this was up against some big American football game, but clearly it's not.
And the NFL playoffs don't start till January, so it's actually not.
It's going to do 1 million plus then, Gary. It's all good.
That matters, right? Because a lot of people, because it's championship Saturday, so every conference, no matter where you are in the country, the Pac-12 plays on Friday night, but everyone else plays Saturday.
Yeah.
So no matter where you are in the country, that's what you're watching because your conference is playing.
Yeah.
Except for Matt's.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, what's the highest that we know from a DAZN? 600,000, right, for Canelo Jacobs? That's the highest number we know. So, I mean, if the YouTuber guy's done better than that in the States and it's done better than Joshua here, maybe that's, I don't know, a sign that other things are more popular than boxing, and we're maybe a little like, what? How can that possibly be?
No. That's not what this is. That's not what this is at all. I think everyone's aware that, like, from a pure viewership perspective, right? Like, eyeballs on it, KSI Logan Paul have more people attached to them than 99.9% of boxers, right? We all know that. That's not, I think, the question here.
No, but I see people within boxing like going, what? How the fuck?
Oh,
how can this be more? This is crazy. Above the sport that I love. This is insane,
Yeah, absolutely understand that. But I think those people are a little bit misguided and are in a boxing bubble, and that happens. However, again, if your desired goal is to be the Netflix of sports, that was their stated goal when they started their company, was to be the quote. This is an exact quote, Netflix of sports. Okay? And all you've got so far to show for it is some international boxing, some YouTuber boxing, some snooker, some J1 league, whatever that is for soccer, some Chilean league. You have billiards. You have, what else do they have? Darts and Bellator. Okay. There is an issue. You have clearly not met your goal. Okay. And on top of that, when you are costing the consumer $20 a month, when I just bought Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu for $12.99, you are losing the content game. Okay? And falling back on YouTuber fights is clearly, okay,
It's a crutch.
It's a crutch. It's a crutch. It's an attempt to do something. It's grasping at straws here because right now they haven't got the big network. I mean, not big network. The big sporting entity. They haven't got NFL, NBA.
What's available right now for them to purchase right now?
Nothing right now, and that's the issue.
Right.
They came into a marketplace that was not available to them. That was monopolized. No, they are here now.
They're not.
I said they're here now. I didn't say they're not here, but they're not doing anything.
They're here now. They've got a subscriber base, whatever it is, and I guess they're gonna at some point go full tilt. Whether they get it or not, that's up for debate. But they're gonna, with already some kind of foothold, look for rights with an existing.
We all know they're going to do that, Rob. I'm telling you, I'm giving my opinion and my prediction because we all know what they're going to try to do.
I'm giving you mine.
Okay, but you didn't give your opinion. You just told us that they're going to try to get other sports, which we know they're going to try to do. I don't think they're going to be successful at that because they have not been successful in anything else they've done. other than YouTuber fights.
They have snooker.
You know,
no,
like
if I could give any word of advice to DAZN, it would be go after college football. It's a nationwide thing. It's a younger demographic. They're gonna know how to use your app, and you're gonna have them for a long time. That's what I would suggest to them. Now, I'm sure they won't listen to me, but we'll see. You know, maybe they'll be able to get something with the NBA, the NFL. If they can get anything with the NFL is so huge and so popular. That's going to be a huge moneymaker. I don't know if they're going to be able to it. There's going to be a lot of people bidding on it. If Disney bids on it, I don't know how Disney doesn't outbid DAZN if they really want it. But, you know, those questions will be answered. Right now, the DAZN, and I like the product. I really do. I like the fights they give me. I like the baseball highlight package. It's not really winning right now. It's not.
But what do you mean by winning? Like bigger than other networks, bigger than?
But you do understand at a $20 per month price point, that's not a good deal for people. Look what Matt just said he got for $12.99. $20 to watch fight and a baseball package, and I'm sure I'm the only person who watches both, right? So, well, that's probably not the only person, but one of the only
small
people who watches
small percentage
both, right? And it's still like $20. That's a lot. You know, I bought it for the year because my wife said just buy it for the year because you'll save whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's still $100 a year to watch baseball highlights and boxing. It's
no, I get you. I get you. But like I say, my point is they've come in, they've got whatever they've got now. I don't know any numbers, but like as far as subscribers,
we know it's around 2 million. That's what we've been hearing. Forbes reported that. Bloomberg reported that, right?
Looking on application data, apparently in the last 30 days, 2.3 million people have downloaded DAZN. Now, I was trying to figure out via their thing whether that's includes like people in Japan or whether that's US or, you know, like all the different territories that they're in. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's been a huge advertisement. It's been the name is out. I think a lot of this for me is about brand awareness, I think. But
yeah, but brand awareness means so little if no one actually pays for your content because there's no content there to pay for. You know, like that's the issue. And again, like sports is, you know, I've said this a lot of times, like sports has its value as a live property. Sports does not have the same amount of value as a on-demand property. You know, fight libraries aren't as valuable as live sporting rights. Point blank, end of story, full stop. Okay? And if most of your content is live base, okay, then that therefore your content, you know, base period is it has a depreciating value higher than other streaming services because it's a sports streaming service. Same with ESPN Plus, right? A lot of their content has a higher depreciating rate because it's live sports, okay? But ESPN gets a daily update of all the major sports, all of them, baseball, NBA, football, etc. DAZN doesn't. Their daily updates are darts, the J1 League, which I still don't know what that is. I think it's the Japanese league.
The J League, yeah, it's Japanese.
I saw some of the names. I was like, I assume it's Japanese, but I don't want to assume. But I did. And again, I want DAZN to succeed because DAZN, or at least a concept of DAZN, right? A competitor to an ESPN Plus platform, so there's not a monopoly in the industry. Something that will make sure we get international streaming rights. Because I believe if DAZN divests from boxing, because it's far more valuable to invest in YouTubers and esports, which they're already thinking of. That's why they put in the survey. Okay. Then I worry about a lot of this international boxing that we've seen, that we've grown accustomed to watching in the U.S., going back to illegal streams and a recession in the industry. I am deeply concerned about that because, look, if all of their boxing content they put on this year, think about how much money they've spent on Triple G, Canelo, AJ, all this money. KSI, Logan Paul beat it all. If DAZN investors and Len Blavinik is in the back room looking at the X's and O's of the spreadsheet and going, why the fuck am I still spending this much money on all this stuff that's not making me money? But KSI, Logan Paul, those YouTuber esports shit, that's making me money. Let's go invest in that. If you're out there listening to this and you aren't concerned about that factor, then you aren't paying attention enough, clearly.
My only hope is that the boxing is such a blip under the radar that he doesn't even know it's losing him money, right? Like when I was a stockbroker, I had a client, $100 million net worth, and he had like $50,000 with me. He didn't even know I was a stockbroker. Like he had no clue who I was, right? Like I don't care who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's the boxing is that's so
Hopefully.
far under the radar that they don't even know the money's gone.
I doubt it though. With the percentage increase they're paying these guys from before when they were what they're getting paid on HBO, Gennady Golovkin's getting paid over 700% more than what he was getting paid on HBO. 700% more than what he was getting paid on HBO. Canelo, his base pay has gone up over 600%. You know, like, again, go check out my articles, Mixed Comment Radio. Check it out. All those numbers there. But, yeah, maybe it's a blip on the radar, but it's a giant fucking blip. And I don't think it's just a blip on the radar, to be honest. And I think it's the same issue with ESPN and to some degree. They're looking at those Tyson Fury numbers and saying, what the fuck are we getting our money for? Or paying this money for? Like, we're not getting it back with Tyson Fury. You know? Like, I'm concerned about this. And if you're out there listening and you aren't concerned, you're not paying attention. But side topic in a way. I wanted to run back this topic from yesterday or the Sunday show. Because just me and Gary and we're Yanks, and we're talking about the UK television rights. But 2021, DAZN is looking to break into the UK market and go after the Champions League. At the same time, Sky is going after it. BT obviously did have it, but they're in a bidding war as we speak, I think. Right, Rob? I think the bidding war started yesterday, right?
Bids went in yesterday,
yeah.
That we were potentially going to find out like yesterday, but we should maybe this week find out who came out on top with these TV rights bidding war.
Agreed. But on top of it, it looks like Matchroom and Sky's deal is up at the same time in 2021. Now, that seems like it's going to be a tumultuous time for UK boxing, or at least it could be, let's say. There's a potential for it to be. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe all things are status quo. They re-sign with Sky Sports. Nothing changes. DAZN enters the market. They don't get the Champions League. They don't get Matchroom. And it's kind of, again, status quo, so to speak, for British boxing or UK boxing. However, let's say in some world that DAZN comes, they get the Champions League, they get Matchroom, Sky is left there, BT is left there with the hands tied and wondering what the fuck just happened. Rob, what is the possibility of that outcome being a reality? That DAZN somehow comes in here in 2021 or comes in there and steals Champions League from BT and Matchroom Boxing from Sky, or Matchroom as a whole from Sky, because Matchroom does other stuff.
What's the chances of it both happening? I mean, look, swinging it back to the US, it was a huge thing that they got Canelo.
Yes.
Then it was, and along the way there has been like, oh fucking hell, like check DAZN out, they're making moves. As much as you can look into it and think, fuck, that's a lot of money, or holy shit, no wonder Triple G signed, or whatever. But when they first come in, people are like, does DAZN? What the fuck's it? Oh, fuck, they signed Canelo. So I don't think it's like probably out of the realms of possibility that they could come in, because I think the last deal with BT for the Champions League was $1.2 billion pounds for the Champions League rights. So for DAZN to come in and go like, I don't know, 1.5, 1.8, whatever the winning bid is going to be, for it to be DAZN, I don't know that that's like out of the realms of possibility, but I think it's unlikely. I don't think DAZN, just looking at the reporting lately, the last sort of day or so, it does seem like Sky are massively in the running. BT are looking like they're maybe going to lose their grip on the TV rights for the Champions League, and also ITV, which is free TV over here. They're in with a good shout as well for winning the rights for it. But I think a big if, I think if DAZN do pick up the Champions League, I think that then lends itself to a possible move for Matchroom away from Sky. I think that would make it more likely, but I think it'd put, as much as money talks, I still think it would put Eddie Hearn in a a tricky position because Sky have really helped Matchroom and Eddie Hearn become, what Matchroom and Eddie Hearn have become. He had a massive platform when boxing wasn't really, I don't know, getting the investment or the network time or anything like that. Sky came in and really, helped Matchroom out, and it gave them a platform because lots of people were getting Sky TV because they had the Premier League football. That if you wanted the best sports, you had Sky Sports because all the major golf tournaments, all the cricket, loads of stuff was on Sky. And so if your boxing was there as an option to watch on Sky as well, it was, you were in a decent shop window. So does it happen? I'm not sure because for a start, I don't think DAZN are going to get the Champions League rights, even though I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. But
and I'm seeing a lot of in the chat that look, and I think Matt will agree. No one's saying that the DAZN app is bad or it's trash. It doesn't have any content for its $20 price point. If it was $5, that'd be one thing. But $20, I think the app is good actually, right? I like it.
UI is amazing, way better than ESPN's.
But for $20 a month, the content's not there, right? We're not saying we want the DAZN app to fail. I hope it does great. It's more boxing. But right now, look, most of my friends who don't follow boxing but follow, mainstream sports, they now know what it is. They know what DAZN is. They don't have it, though. That's a problem.
I'm sorry, Gary. I'm arguing with a bunch of people that don't have DAZN, and it's just really upsetting. I'm done arguing with these people. If you want to go read my article, again, Mixed Combat Radio. If you guys are upset at me mentioning commission disclosed purses and the fact that they've all gone up for everyone across the board, yes, I brought up DAZN because they're the biggest culprits, but PBC is a big culprit too. I think Deontay Wilder, from the numbers that I remember, is over 400% increase. Earl Spence was 120-something% increase. Terrence Crawford was over 200% increase in average pay from last year alone, guys. We're talking only about a 12 to 18-month time span, and numbers have increased astronomically.
This is not normal. In the real world.
Hold on, and quickly, I'm not saying that these people can't or should not get paid what their market worth is. But if you're saying the market can't sustain that long term, then again, you're not paying attention, which is fine. Just please stay in your lane, listener.
Right. In the real world, you usually get a 2 to 3% pay increase per year. If you're doing 5, that's great, right? No one in the world makes 500, 200% more than they made the year before. That just doesn't happen. So that's a bubble. That's not real.
And by the way, people, government commission disclosed documents aren't, quote, stupid numbers. That's literally the factual information we can go off of. So, again, a lot of UK people or I should not say, a lot of Matchroom fans, whether or not they're in the US or UK, doesn't matter. A lot of Matchroom fans are upset at me pointing out some legitimate criticism and issues with DAZN and Matchroom right now. And that's fine. It's okay. Everyone has the bias.
Balance it off by saying about Wilder's ticket decrease. Well,
of course. That's in New York, right? This one's in New York?
Vegas.
No, Vegas.
That's why, man. Vegas has never been good to Wilder. Same with LA in a way. He's done decent in terms of, I would say, gate revenue. He's always done decent, but his attendance has always been kind of a little bit above half. He's more of a New York draw. And I'm surprised they've not put him in Atlanta yet. That's pissing me off. I think they did it once, right? Didn't they do it once?
I don't think they've ever put him in Atlanta. I know they put him in Alabama a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I think before they invest the money in Atlanta, I think they just want to test the market a little bit with Javante, and then they'll put him in Atlanta if that does okay.
Because that fight's in... Wait, is the Javante fight in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think, isn't Gamboa a really good ticket seller there?
In Atlanta? I don't think he's ever fought in Atlanta.
Right, I'm joking. No, that's going to do well, though, I think. Because Tank's second home. He basically lives there, I think.
And well, I've always said this. Atlanta is a big market, full stop, just a market period. All flights in the South fly through Atlanta.
Biggest airport in the country.
Ellaby described it as like, is it like, what does he call it? Black Hollywood or something? It's like all the like rap stars or like
Tyler Perry has an entire movie studio complex there. That Bad Boys 3 was filmed. What else? There was another movie that I think it was a Kevin Hart film or something. There was a bunch of films that are filmed there like simultaneously. It's a massive area and market, like I said. And it's one that I think it could absolutely support African American fighters and guys like Gervonta Davis, Deontay Wilder, the Charlo brothers, Spence, Crawford, even like these guys need to be put in this market more often, in my opinion. That needs to be a market that's tested, especially with some of these guys that are Southern in terms of their style, how they present themselves. Like the Charlos are Southern. Crawford's a Southern guy. Like
Wilder is Southern.
Wilder is Southern.
Is Southern.
Like put him in the South. Like why not? And not in Miami, Florida. Like
that's the North.
like Farmer Jojo Diaz. Like that's not a fight town market. That's not even a market that's comparative to Atlanta anymore.
And it's not even a Southern market. Right? I get it's South, but everyone who lives in Miami is from New York, so it's not the South.
Just so you know, Ortiz fought there and then called out Wilder and he got the fight. Fuck it, I tell you, Florida.
Yeah, in front of what, 400 people?
Yeah, maybe.
That wasn't on the Laura? Who did he fight? Yuri Foreman?
Yeah, it might have been.
Was that card? No.
It might have.
Oh my god, that card was so bad.
Wilder was in attendance, wasn't he? Ortiz lent out I want you. I want you.
When Thurman fought in Florida, when he fought at the UCF, didn't he do well? Like, did he do relatively well? Maybe 10,000.
Yeah, but wasn't it at a school?
It was at the university in Central Florida.
Yeah,
or South Florida. South Florida.
Dude, all those kids probably got in for free.
Probably.
That's how it worked for me. Like when I was a student at Oregon State, all the events I got in for free. Whether it was a sporting event, whether it was a concert, I got in for free because I was a student.
Because you just moaned your way and they went, just let him in.
Whatever.
This guy again. Damn it.
Yeah, this guy, stop him.
All he does is complain. But sort of digressing back to Rob and DAZN and Matchroom Scott, I agree with all of you guys' points. I do agree that the status quo will largely be kept. I think Sky is a machine, similar to like ESPN in a way, where it's just too big to fail at this point in time, especially with a upstart market entry like DAZN. I just don't think it's going to have the impact.
Saying that though,
the instant impact it wants.
If Disney wants to buy it, though, they'll buy it because they can, right? Like basketball was on NBC for 30 years, and then ABC said, "We're going to buy that. How much do we need to pay? All right, write the check." Right? Like I don't know if ABC or ESPN has any interest in buying both, sort of, having BT and Matchroom like all under their umbrella. But if they want it, they'll buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like
right now, all I know is at the minute Disney Plus sucks until it's here and I can use it and pay for it.
Rob, don't worry. Rob, don't worry. I'm going to record The Mandalorian for you and send it to you via just
you're gonna go live.
My narration.
We're gonna go live with some spectacles on and let me be one of 11,000 people tuning in. Keep still, bro.
Yes.
That one comment. Stop moving, bro. Oh, I nearly died. Oh, shout out to that guy. Not all heroes wear capes, I guess. But
that was great.
Yeah.
That was great. Moving on. Any last thoughts about DAZN and markets and
keep doing your thing, DAZN. Come to the UK because that's what I was just going to say off the back of what Gary said. A lot of people in the UK are like, just fuck it, we'll have DAZN, we'll pay that because the Sky subscription is a lot more than a DAZN subscription. Let me tell you. So
yeah, but with Sky you got a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. If DAZN got Champions League and Matchroom Boxing, I'm good.
Well, no, of course, but that would be the equivalent to like if DAZN got the NFL, the NBA, and the UFC. I'd be like, yeah, my money, take it.
Yeah, because all that NBA and NFL you watch.
I definitely watch a lot of NBA, but I watch things that have rights to, like ESPN. Like I may not watch full games, but I watch SportsCenter because ESPN has all the rights to NBA games.
Okay.
Right? If DAZN had the rights and not, I had another highlight show I could watch, yeah, I'll be all down for that. But they need the rights to games. They do,
NBA highlight shows are the best because you can watch all the dunks from the night before.
Yes, because dunks are way better than anything in UK sports, right, Rob?
No, I just didn't get the significance of
There's
that.
Dwayne Wade, who's 6'3", throwing it down on a 7-footer. Rob's like, what's the big deal?
No, but you went 10 years ago. This happened.
Did you see the dunk? The dunk's crazy.
Did it win the fucking final game? Was it on the buzzer? No, it
was in the middle of the early season, 10 games into the season.
First quarter, and I'm like,
10 games into the season.
what the hell is this? Why is this significant in any way? It's like every other dunk I've seen. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
So good.
Group chat shit.
That was hilarious. Let's go out to more news out there in the boxing world. Devin Haney, who was on that bullshit card last weekend, has now been ordered officially for the purse bid with Javier Fortuna on December 13th. I think we're all of the minds that this fight will happen. There's not going to be any reason for this fight not to happen. There's not going to be any step aside money.
Who's Fortuna with? PBC?
Yeah, but
does he dig his heels in?
That's Fortuna.
Yeah, I don't think he can really make too much of a fuss, you know?
Well, it's not even like...
Does he force a purse bid is what I mean.
Maybe there is a purse bid, but I don't think, I don't expect the purse bid to be an enormous value. You know what I mean? I don't expect this to be a bidding war. I'll put it this way. This is not going to be a bidding... There's not going to be a PBC and Matchroom bidding war for this fight. That's not going to happen.
Just know if they'd be able to, throw a spanner in the works to just piss off Eddie.
That'd be fun.
Eddie, please put that fight in New York. You have a Dominican and a future star. Put that fight in New York City.
I agree with that. I doubt he does it, but
bring it to
yeah, he's gonna put it in.
Bring it to the UK.
He's gonna put it in Kansas again.
Mulvane, Kansas. Phoenix, Arizona.
If they get it done, when is it? The 13th of December.
Yes.
Eddie could schedule it for Phoenix, right, on the 20th. Get it straight in there.
Yeah, put a Dominican in Phoenix. Woohoo. Going to do massive ticket sales there. Woohoo. But I like the fight. I think this fight makes a lot of sense. And I've said this before, right? Devin Haney, regardless of him having a belt, is still a prospect to me. He doesn't even have the Gervonta Davis, Jose Pedraza win, right? He doesn't even have that. He literally has no top 10 win, top 15 win, period. This can be his first time.
Are we still giving that to Gervonta? Because he hasn't done anything since that. And I was like,
no. But I'm talking about put ourselves, the week after whatever that fight, Davis Pedraza, there was the topic of, Davis, he's still a prospect. It was different, and there was pushback on that because why? Well, you just beat someone. You beat Pedraza. Yeah. So, you are no longer a prospect because you beat Pedraza. With Haney, he didn't beat anyone. He still has yet to beat, again, a top 15 name. This is going to be a legit top 10 name, in my opinion, that he's going to be fighting. And a guy that's literally been there against everyone in the division. Great barometer fight. And honestly, a guy that's probably going to give him a really tough fight, especially if anything from the Santiago fight is a signal or a sign that something is wrong in Devin Haney's technique. Fortuna is going to look at that and probably exploit some things there.
No one looks good against Fortuna, right?
No one does.
Here's the thing, right? I like
opportunity to look good against Fortuna. That's a semi-statement. It's not a Pedraza taking about a champion, but it's
if Haney comes in and looks good against Fortuna, props to him. Major props to him. I don't think it happens. I think he struggles and wins, but he wins, but he struggles.
Yeah. Let me get in on that, right? Because I like the fight. It's a good fight, but not for a title, right? Fortuna, this should not be his mandatory. Fortuna lost to Easter, and he arguably won. I scored it for Easter, but probably most people scored it for Fortuna, I think, right? It was one of those fights of what did you like? But then the Granados fight ended prematurely on an accidental foul, I think. And then he beat Quellar, who was a featherweight. So, what does he do? How does he become a mandatory? How does he get that position?
How did Carlos Ocampo become a mandatory?
That's a better question. That's a far better question. I like the fight, but I don't get why not for a title though. I like this if there was no title on it. If Devin Haney didn't have a belt, then it's a good fight. It's a good step up for him. But he's a champion now.
Yeah, but Gary, I think you have to also realize that 135 isn't as deep as you probably think it is. Like, think about, like, Loma is going to wait for Come Lopez, regardless of Haney having a belt or not having a belt or being the mandatory to Loma. You know, like, franchise belt, doesn't matter. Loma is waiting for that fucking fight, right? So those are 3 names out of sort of the running for a Devin Haney fight. You know, you have Come, Lopez, and Loma. They're not available right now, right? Who else would be there, regardless of belt or not? Take that out of your mind. Like
one of Rob's okay, that's I would say one of Rob's guys, Selby or Campbell. I guess Campbell just got a title shot. I guess you wouldn't go back to him, but Selby.
But again, regardless of title shot, just thinking about best fights for Haney right now.
Luke Campbell is going to happen next year.
Campbell or Selby would be the fight, but I guess like
I would pick
that's
Fortuna
a
over Selby.
massive step up. I guess Fortuna is kind of an in between step till you get to those guys.
I think
Campbell will be after Fortuna fight, in my opinion.
Agree with that, Rob. And I'll also say this: I think Fortuna is a tougher fight for him than Lee Selby. Stylistically,
maybe
Fortuna is the perfect guy to give Haney that work. The
Haney
perfect guy.
Haney beats Selby, in my opinion.
Selby doesn't have the pop, doesn't have the willpower anymore, doesn't have the durability. Fortuna is durable, powerful, gritty, good inside game as well, and Haney struggles with the inside game. Fortuna, I think, is the perfect test to see if Haney is really ready for this top level.
Gary just wants Selby so it can be the Welsh Mayweather versus the new Mayweather.
The only other name that I would approve, but he doesn't fight as often as I would like him, he's not active anymore, is Denis Shafikov. If we had a Denis Shafikov that was active still, he would be the next guy I would want for Devin.
Yeah, and he doesn't want that smoke. Nobody wants to fight Shafikov. It's one of those guys like, just chill on Shafikov. First, the purse is in there, and that guy's tough as hell. It's like fighting what was the Rodnikov? Yeah, I don't really want to fight him.
I'm good. I'm good off of that.
So you know, as far as rankings, Tank Davis is actually the one place above Fortuna, but that's why Fortuna is next in line.
In the sanctioning body or the box rank?
The sanctioning body.
Okay.
But according to LB, Tank is nobody's mandatory. That's like nobody puts baby in the corner.
Leonard's a hoot, man.
Yeah. You can't make offers to Tank Davis, apparently.
They're crazy, man. I so wish Tank was just not with Mayweather. I think if Tank wasn't with Mayweather but still PBC, we wouldn't have these issues. I think the Mayweather Leonard Elby combination of just fuckery have stalled and ruined Gervonta Davis's career thus far.
Yeah.
I see. I totally expect or see Tank texting Al Haymon on the side God, fuck Mayweather.
No.
And him going, I'm sorry, bro. You signed the contract.
All the beef that Tank keeps getting into online, like Josh Taylor, he's like, that's it, I'm calling Al. Somebody else, I'm calling Al. Do you think he calls Al and Al says, okay, but I'll have to run it past Floyd? And
yes.
He goes, oh, fuck.
I think so, man.
All this calling Al isn't getting you nowhere.
I just love Tank's response, like he's a 5-year-old. I'm telling Al. It's like,
yeah.
I'll be honest. I think Al would have 100% made the Tank Davis Leo Santa Cruz fight, for example, right? Like that. If Al had his way, I think that fight would have been made for maybe this pay-per-view or last pay-per-view for a while or something like that. Like it would have been made already. But I think Mayweather is just a complete fuckhead when it comes to his promotion. Honestly, I think he's a complete bell end, to use the word that you guys.
Yeah, let's go all British on it.
Yeah, he is. I think Mayweather is Mayweather's the worst promoter in the game, and we talk about worst promoters in the game often on this show.
He is.
He's the worst.
He for sure is. And it's one of those things, right? It's like Magic Johnson, and you may know this, coached the Lakers for 2 weeks. It's like the worst thing ever. It's like, okay, you're like a legend and maybe the greatest point guard of all time, but this is not for you. Right? It's the same thing with Mayweather. It's like, okay, I understand you want to be around the sport, but not in this capacity. This is not for you.
No, it's not. Same with Oscar. Not in the exact 1-to-1 parallel, but very similar.
It's getting close now. Oscar's not interested in Golden Boy. He's not. Like, I was at the Virgil Ortiz fight. That's his biggest star, his best future star. He wasn't there. Right? Like, could you imagine Aram not being at a Sequoia Stevenson fight or Eddie not being at a Devin Haney fight? Like, this is your future. Anthony Canelo, this has to be your guy.
He was too busy texting Ryan Garcia. Instagram replying Ryan Garcia, telling him, "Tell your coach to make sure you keep your left hand up."
Yo, one of these days, Eddie Reneso is going to fucking sneak up on Oscar and fucking just sucker punch him, and I cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for it.
Yeah, you're not going to see that, Max. You're not getting credentialed for any Golden Boy shit.
I'm really not, man.
Gary, you're going to have to be there.
Moving on. Speaking of PBC and fucked up careers.
Oh, by the way, Virgil Ortiz has no named opponent, but he is fighting in India. Are you going, Matt? Well, now you're not going to get credentialed, but are you going?
No, it's Indio, man.
You're going to buy a ticket?
Indio's far as hell. I'm not driving 2.5 hours to see Virgil Ortiz fight some guy.
We don't know who it is yet.
That's terrible, right?
Hey,
2.5 hours.
You know what? Golden Boy, I'm not going to support you until I see Rashidi Ellis back in the ring.
He's on a card coming up. Look his name up. He's got a fight coming up.
Is he? Thank God.
I don't remember what card, but yeah.
No, this matters because Rashidi Ellis is like, he was on my list.
He's really good. Like, he's really good.
Boxrec says, doesn't give a fuck.
I hate you, Rob.
No, Rashidi Ellis is one of his...
that's right. We talked about this, Gary. He's fighting
God.
Eddie Gomez in a rematch. God.
At least he's back. When was the last? It's been over a year since he fought. Over a year.
Is there a reason behind that?
I don't know.
Yeah, because Golden Boy doesn't promote. Golden Boy got lazy.
I mean, even if there is a reason, like, it's on the promoter's job to let us know, hey, this is why this guy is not fighting right now. But still pay attention to him. Still watch him on Twitter or YouTube or whatever. Like, pay attention to him recovering from an injury. No, this guy's just gone and fighting Eddie Gomez in a rematch. It's upsetting. I'm just going to move on before I get more upset. Speaking of failed careers in some way, or not failed careers, I shouldn't say that, but just stagnated careers. Let's say that. Stagnated careers. That's a really good way to put it. Gary Russell Jr. is back. Yay. Michael Benson reporting WBC featherweight mandatory challenger Tugasat Nyambar, or a.k.a. King Tug, has claimed that he's now signed his contract to challenge Gary Russell Jr. for the world title in January. The bout was ordered at the WBC convention last month. Guys, are you guys as excited for this fight as I am? I know I'm one of the only few guys that still talks about King Tug as like a legitimate prospect because PBC, speaking of people dropping the ball in promotion, completely dropped the ball in promoting this guy. But this fight to me is really intriguing. He's one of those guys in this division that he's top 10, but no one talks about him. And I think Gary Russell Jr. has kind of looked lackluster recently in performances. And I can see King Tug give him that work. Guys, thoughts on this fight? Thoughts on Gary Russell Jr. having his one fight per year?
This may be, that fight where the inactivity finally catches up to Gary Russell Jr. I think Gary Russell Jr., he's one of my favorite fighters when he fights, which is hardly ever, right? But when he is so skilled, the power, the speed, the defense, I mean, he is so skilled, but he just doesn't get in the ring. And that inactivity, like, he's getting older now. He's never in the ring. It might be the day he's not sharp and he loses because of the rust and the inactivity. This is a real fight that he could, like, Joseph Diaz tested him, but he was better than Diaz, right? So he got through the fight.
Yeah.
This may be the one where he goes to find the extra gear and he's just not on that day and he loses. Like, he might lose this fight. And I know, like, because people don't know who King Tug is, they're thinking, like, who is this? Russell might lose this fight. I'm not sure who I'm picking, but Russell could definitely lose that fight. For sure.
I absolutely agree with that. I think, again, King Tug is one of the most slept-on prospects in the game, period.
He's looked pretty ordinary last couple of outings, right?
Yeah, but then I think sometimes...
beats him.
Yeah, but he still has like a decent like top 15 win under his belt. Like he has a more legitimate win than Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, but I just think Russell wins, don't we?
No, Russell's a better fighter. Like, Russell's a better fighter than most people, right? Like, but at a certain point, like that rust, that inactivity, that's gonna catch up to you. I don't 31-ish.
I'll check right now.
Yeah, I think it's a while yet before he's at that point.
And I'll be honest, the inactivity actually I think does help him in terms of wear and tear. I'll be honest.
Has he been in wars? I can't think. Has he been in wars?
No.
Right, he's all right.
Has
Just
he been in wars?
King Tug. Don't get hyped.
I don't know, man. He beat Oscar Escudon just a fight ago, and Oscar Escudon's a top 15 name.
I thought his last fight. He looked.
That was his last one. His last one was I just had it. Let me see. It was against Claudio Marrero.
Yeah,
that was a UD. That was bad. But he knocked out Oscar Escudon in 3 rounds the fight before that.
Yeah. I'm just not. I was kind of on the train and then I quickly jumped off. I saw something.
Man, he's the Mongolian destroyer, man.
That's right. I couldn't even think we were at Mongolia.
The reincarnation of Genghis Khan himself, guys. Right here, King Tug.
Where is there a big Mongolian demographic that we can sell this fight in?
Mongolia?
I don't think Gary Russell wants to go there.
And even then, I don't think there's that much population there.
It'll be on DAZN Mongolia, I think.
I'm not trying to sound dumb. Mongolia is directly north of China, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't say directly north, but yes, it is north of China.
Just south of.
Because, the Earth is tilted, it's tilted and, it's
south of the North Pole.
South and North Pole, north of China. Yes, somewhere in that general region. It's in between China and Russia. It's a border country. But I remember I saw a documentary on Mongolia not too long ago, and because I'm a nerd, and the population for Mongolia is really tiny. So I don't even know if it
This is
matters.
fucking freezing.
Yeah, it is. It's all it is it's Great Plains and it's iced over half the year. Miserable. But digressing, I do think this is a competitive fight. I don't know who I'm going to pick yet. Because
Russell.
I am a King Tug mark on the low. You guys know this. I don't know this.
Yeah. Also on the low, people need to know this. You're a fucking Inoue hater.
Whoa, why would you say that?
That's an Inoue fan from what?
No, I'm gonna find the text.
Okay, because there's one trolling text in our group chat that Rob is now taking to the fullest extent of now me being an Inoue hater. I forget what it was exactly.
What do I can't remember. I wish I remembered now.
It was some hating shit.
Oh, you said he was ducking somebody or.
Oh no, I said he ducked everyone at 115, which is true.
All right.
Okay, now you might argue that look, at the time that he was lined up to fight Roman Gonzalez lost twice, and therefore ruined that potential fight because that was, I think, the lined up fight. But he didn't fight Circuits or Rungsvi, didn't fight Estrada, didn't fight Ancajas, didn't fight Quadras. The list goes on of guys he just did not fight at 115. But and that's upsetting. It's a little bit upsetting that he didn't fight those guys.
But he wanted to go to 18.
He was at 115 for
he was at 15 for a minute, though.
He literally fought at 115 on the undercard of a Roman Gonzalez Circuit or Rungsvi fight.
Yeah,
I think it was the second one.
Superfly, yeah.
Yeah, but it was the second one specifically. I remember I was there. I saw Inoue live. He fought David Carmona, I want to say. I think it was that fight.
Nieves. It was Nieves.
Oh, was it Nieves?
Yeah.
Okay, it was Nieves. Sorry. All I remember from that fight,
you'd remember.
All I remember from that night was Roman Gonzalez getting knocked out and the entire crowd being stunned. But beside that point that he was trying to fight Roman Gonzalez and that fight got scuttled because of Circuits or Rungsvi, he then did not fight Circuits or Rungsvi or any of the other guys that were on winning streaks at flyweight or super flyweight. He's decided to fight Omar Nieves at 115 and Johan Beloye or whatever his name was at 115 and Nieves, and that's about it.
Well, Nieves was the jump up, right? He jumped up from 108 to fight, and then so I wouldn't criticize him for that fight. It's the other ones he took at 15, which is kind of why would you take that fight?
I don't think that was the step up to 115.
Nieves was.
I'll check really fast.
I mean, not Nieves. Navarez.
Yeah, Navarez was. Yeah,
Navarez was a step up to 115, and then that fight's fine. That's a good fight. That's the name. But then it's the rest of the fights he took at 15, which were kind of
Ricardo Rodriguez, Koi Kono, which a veteran.
It's a name, but he was a 112 pounder who was kind of old at that point. It's a good name, right?
Karan Jurpotlin from Thailand.
I'm sure he's tough.
Relarto Pineris You know,
that Filipino? Where's that guy from?
Let me see. Yes, you called it Philippines. But you know, there's guys he could have fought at 115. That's my only criticism of Inoue, but it's a small criticism. You know, it's like I wish Crawford stayed at 135 a little bit longer. So when guys like Linares and Easter came up, he could have fought those guys too, and then moved to 140.
Now Crawford's a ducker
You know,
as well.
it's a little bit. It's not a duck. It's just a little bit of a. Hey, I
No,
wish.
I
I
knew it
wish
was
you
a
fought
duck.
those guys.
He should have stayed at 35 to fight Easter.
And Linares.
Linares fine. He would have handled Linares, but yeah, that's a good fight. I'm into that fight. But to stay at 35 to fight Easter, you had me with Linares. Easter, don't stay at 35 to fight Easter.
Just don't fight Easter.
Anyways, digressing. I like him. I like Inoue. I just think that he, didn't fight those guys. It's upsetting. Moving on. Speaking of someone that's probably not going to fight this person, Savannah Marshall was face to face with Clarissa Shields, and is obviously reflecting on how she fucked up in life and how she's going to get completely destroyed by Clarissa Shields when they fight eventually. I just want to piss off Robin. Just troll him a little bit with that statement.
Savannah Marshall is Matt's least favorite fighter.
No, come on, Valdez. What are you talking about?
That's true. That's true.
What are you guys talking about? But digressing, I like that they ran up with each other. I think she was in the UK for, I forget which card exactly.
MTK card.
The Chantel Cameron card.
Cameron and stuff like
that. So it's good to see, A, women supporting other women in the sport, and B, them set up this fight. I like seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. I think, like, you need this because, like the conversation we had earlier, promoters aren't really taking the reins on women's boxing. It's going to have to sort of be the women supporting themselves right now because no one is really doing it, I think, the way that they need it.
No, Matchroom does the best, but even at that, it's still...
Yeah, obviously, I think they do a good job. Don't get me wrong. I think they do a very good job. But, Savannah Marshall, Chantel Cameron, these aren't Matchroom fighters, per se.
Yeah.
I think it was on Sky.
They are Matchroom fighters.
Are they? I thought Savannah Marshall was BT and Frank Warren.
Nope.
I could never keep him straight either. I could never keep who's with BT and who's with Sky.
Who am I thinking of? Who's the
Matchroom?
Who's Frank Warren's go-to?
It was Nicola Adams.
I thought he also had. Anyways, digressing then. I would, if I'm Eddie Hearn, you need to start having these women fight better competition, especially Savannah Marshall. But B, start putting maybe more of a camera crew around these women. Get more shoulder programming around them. I would, I wish there was a Sky camera around both of these women when this interaction was going down, and it was plastered. Was it plastered over Sky? I didn't see it.
No, it's Cougar, but it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
I
know for fans it is, right? I see what you did there, Rob. I think for a lot of fans in this community, in the YouTube community, yes, you're right. But let's say for the casual UK sporting fan, not boxing fan, sporting fan, they need to start being more force-fed this stuff. And that would be, it'd be cool to have, again, a Sky camera crew around this when it happens.
Yeah. I know what you mean, but I'm not so sure how the casual sporting fan is interested in women's boxing, to be honest.
It's the same thing with KSI Logan Paul. You put it in front of us, people are going to care. You force it down our throats, enough people are going to care over time. Okay, it's the same sort of concept. You force KSI Logan Paul down boxing fans' throats, they're going to end up watching it still. Okay, you force women's boxing down sports fans' throats, they're going to end up watching it eventually. Look at women's MMA.
Women's MMA has worked, right?
Yeah.
Like, women's soccer has worked. But, like, women's
tennis.
basketball is a disaster. Like, still 25 years in, no one watches that. I mean, you have to be able to market it towards girls, right? Because the guys will watch it. Especially if the girls watch it, then the guys will definitely watch it. Like, if your wife said, hey, Rob, let's watch the women's fight today, you would be all in on that, right? Like, yeah, let's do that. So, like, you got to find a way to get the women to watch it. Because if the women will watch it, the men will follow.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there was, I forget the exact analytics, but I remember like the Ronda Rousey era, like there's a lot of articles out there talking about the analytics of women watching the sport and, women online metrics concerning MMA and how it, rose, through the roof with the introduction of Ronda Rousey and other women in mixed martial arts. I think it's the same thing in boxing. You need to just force it down our throats. And guess what? Women are going to pay attention because women like supporting women. That's just how it is. guys. Like I know, like we don't care about supporting women because we're guys. It's not how we think, but other women do that. Okay, there's a reason why women's soccer has taken off the way it has is because there's been a movement of women around women's soccer to support it and protect it. Okay, you need to have that same sort of mentality in women's boxing, or at least create that mentality in some fashion. And I've said this before. I think more women need to involve themselves in the promotional angle. You know, I know Raging Babe obviously has entered the promotional field in the U.S., but I would love for more prominent women, no offense to Raging Babe, but like a Heather Hardy would be fantastic as a face of a promotional company that's exclusively women. You know, like I think that's something that needs to be thought about long term. Again, women's boxing is not going to be fixed overnight. Like that's not what we're talking about.
It's a process, and you basically have to build it from the ground up. But like you have a good foundation to build it on now, whereas 10, 15 years ago you didn't, right? Like you have a bunch of good fighters, you have some interesting fights you can make, and like it used to be, if there was a women's fight, it was terrible. Now it's pretty good, right? Like a lot of times the women's fight's the most entertaining fight on the card. So you can start building it now because you have the foundation to build it on.
Agreed, absolutely. And even if you look at like women's MMA, that was a process. The first women's MMA fight that was ever televised, or I should say main event televised, was Gina Carano versus Chris Cyborg in 2006, I want to say, on Showtime, or 2007 on Showtime, via Strikeforce. Look how long it took for the UFC to adopt women's divisions, period. It took them almost half a decade. 2012, I think, is when they adopted women's divisions. And we're now in 2019, 2020. It's been another 8 years of progress in the sport. Look at the amount of women that are now in women's MMA. Amanda Nunes, Thug Rhodes, Tatiana Suarez, Paige Van Zandt, Valentina Shevchenko, Joanne Calderwood, Megan Anderson. You know, the list goes on and on and on. There's literally divisions and divisions of depth there. And you have Invicta Fighting Championship, which is a all-women's MMA promotion that is run by Shannon Knapp, a former women's MMA fighter. And that has a streaming deal with UFC Fight Pass, and they run monthly shows, and it is a great product.
That direction is what I think women boxing should do. They should just forge their own path, because
Bob Aaron's never going to accept it the same way that you need to do it on your own. That's what I said. Like you need Heather Hardy and some investors to create their own promotional company, go get a streaming deal with someone, and go put on monthly shows. Put on 12 shows a year, and fill out good cards, and just have it all women's boxing. And I guarantee you will create an audience. It may not be a massive audience, but it will be an audience. It will make you money, and it will continue to support and grow women's boxing.
Doesn't DAZN want an all-women's card headlined by Katie Taylor in March?
Yes.
And Serrano's saying, "No, I want to fight in January," and stuff like that. So yeah, that's something. But yeah, quickly, Leonard's still in the chat. Savannah Marshall, badly advised, was signed with Mayweather Promotions and took years off her career.
Stitching back to our conversation earlier about Mayweather being the worst promoter in the game. And honestly, I was so surprised when she signed that deal with Mayweather Promotions. That was such a weird signing, to be honest. The more and more I look back on that, I'm shocked she signed to Mayweather Promotions. That made no sense for her.
Yeah.
I don't know who was in her corner or in her camp or in her ears telling her that was the right move, but that was a really bad move.
A lot of times it's just one of those things. It's like it was your hero growing up.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's made a ton of money, so he can make money for me. And it's like, okay, this makes sense. And then it's like, oh man, this guy's not really into this. You know?
Speaking of women's boxing, Delfine Persoon fought yesterday in Belgium and picked up a win against Helen Joseph. She is eyeing a Katie Taylor rematch. Now, they've been talking about a Katie Taylor, Delfine Persoon UK card, right, in the UK, Sky Sports box office, or a Katie Taylor main event in the US, all women's card with Amanda Serrano. Rob, with obviously Persoon winning yesterday. I didn't watch the fight. I think you watched it on some bad stream, unfortunately. Right?
Yeah. Just so people know, the salt is real. They introduced her as the undisputed champion.
I love it. I think it's
it's terrible. Like,
but I mean, do you think the performance yesterday was enough to get the Katie Taylor fight? Do you think there's enough desire for the Katie Taylor fight to overweigh DAZN and what they want with the Amanda Serrano all-female card?
I really don't know what's going to happen next as far as Katie Taylor's next opponent. Serrano's out here saying she's had enough of boxing. They're treated terrible in boxing compared to MMA. And all kinds of stuff. There's been a new contract, despite her having one signed, but it was by her promoter, Lou DiBella, not her. So Eddie Hearns given her another contract for the Katie Taylor fight, which is apparently wanting to be March, but she's saying no. She's fighting. She wants to fight in January against someone else. And Persoon, I'm not sure whether it's going to be that one next or not. I'm not sure. It's I think Eddie Hearns quoted like, people think we could just go, right, yeah, we'll fight you next, but it's very easy then that they price themselves out and the deal isn't right for everybody. And I think Katie Taylor is wanting full VADA for her fights, and that's potentially proven a little bit of a stumbling point for some and things like that. It's I don't know quite what happens next for Katie. I wouldn't be surprised if it's, I don't know, another bout at 140.
Or it's like another stay busy fight in a way.
Well, like unifies a division, the division she's just won in, so she's like a 2-time unified or what, I don't know. But Serrano, I'm not even sure that fight happens, even though it's been signed twice now and things like that. I'm not sure that happens, but we'll see whether eventually she gets the money she thinks is right and whatever. But we'll wait and see. It's a whole. I'm telling you, I get sent a lot of stuff from.
Oh, I know. And, I know who's sending you stuff too.
No, but very much more in the women's boxing world than myself and stuff. But yeah, Persoon, she basically won every round. I think the opponent there was given a couple of rounds, but yeah, Persoon did her thing. But the other girl was pretty game, considering she did land some good shots. But
now you're the mindset that you want the Persoon rematch, right?
Yeah. I think for me that's the UK pay-per-view for me. If it's US card, that's Serrano.
Well, no, I think we're all in agreement here that there's no way you can cross these two. You can't put the US card, all-female card, headline, Katie Taylor, Devfine Persoon. You can't do that. If you have Katie Taylor, Devfine Persoon, it has to be in Europe, in the UK, and if you're going to do it, and it looks like they're going to do Sky Sports box office. If Katie Taylor's in the US, at this point in time, she needs to fight a US name, and that's obviously Amanda Serrano.
But, okay, so Matt, what fight would you personally rather see Katie Taylor fight? The rematch with Persoon. I can never say that right. Persoon, or fight Serrano.
I would like the Persoon fight more, but here's the thing. Me personally, I want the Persoon fight because Rob knows this. I've been out there banging the drum that Persoon won that fight, and Katie Taylor didn't want that immediate rematch. However, I think for the betterment of women's boxing, especially in the U.S. market, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano needs to happen. And in the meantime, Bob Arum needs to rapidly increase Michaela Mayer's profile, and she needs to fight the winner. That's what needs to happen.
Michaela Mayer not being that good.
Look. I think Michaela Mayer is good. I think she has not improved from her level from coming out of the amateurs, which was already very good. Michaela Mayer came out of the amateur system far better than a lot of these other women fighters.
Yeah, we talked about this on her last fight. Which card did she fight on? Because Michaela Mayer made this
was it the Bachelt card? Was it the Bachelt card?
Maybe.
Or no, was it?
No, Shakur card. It was the Shakur card.
Shakur Stevenson card. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And I was like, she's good. Does she beat Serrano? I was like, no. Does she beat Persoon? I was like, no. She's not that good, right?
Gary, you're misunderstanding my point here.
I understand what you're saying. No, I do.
But maybe for those that maybe don't understand my point, maybe are misunderstanding our argument here. Women's boxing needs exciting matchups. You're almost arguing to the logic that made stupid fights like KSI Logan Paul and Mayweather McGregor, right? You're just trying to get names together, right? That's kind of what women's boxing needs. It needs that jolt of life in it. And how do you do that?
Like a Rihanna or something?
Please stop. Don't test with my emotions right there.
Kardashian, something like that.
And that's I don't like the Serrano fight, but from that perspective, it makes sense. I just don't think they're the same weight class, so I'd rather see her fight Persoon, which are the same size.
And that's why I said, me personally, I want Persoon. But for the betterment of women's boxing, We
It's
need
Serrano.
the
Yeah.
Serrano fight, and more importantly, we need Bob Arum to get off his high ass and really push Michaela Mayer. She needs to go through the First Take, the ESPN car wash. She needs to go through Good Morning America. She needs to go on the radio circuit. She needs to go through everything the next 12 months because she needs to fight the winner of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. And regardless of who wins, it just needs to get numbers. That's all that matters. Like, these women don't need to care about getting wins now. They need to make interesting matchups and fights to propel the sport. That's what matters.
Well, Maya thought she was in line to fight Eva Wallstrom, and then Terry Harper won on the UK card, and Eddie Hearn released that, we've got a deal in place for Eva Wallstrom. So, I guess Matchroom were investing a little bit more in the pursuit of Terry Harper getting her shot over ESPN's idea of investing to get Maya. Maybe that shows where people are at as far as their women boxers are concerned. But it needs to get interesting. But it's just so difficult with the women because although there are a few in the weight category, there's just, I don't know.
There's not
girls,
depth. There's not enough depth.
Girls are dropping weight and going up in weight just to find interesting opponents. It's difficult.
It's the reality. And there's nothing we can do to change that right now. There's not going to be all of a sudden a instant generation of women to just come into the sport that are athletically as gifted as the Mayers, the Taylors, the Shields, the Hammers, the Persoons of the world. That's not going to all of a sudden materialize. It's a generational thing. So the next wave of fighters that comes in the next 5-10 years that get influenced by these fighters, because when they're kids right now, they're 10 years old right now watching the sport. Right now, they just need to make fun fights. Quisha Shields brackets, Katie Taylor brackets. Just make fun matchups. I'm sorry. I know it sucks. I know it's not what the sport is kind of built on and what it should be built on. It's not what meritocracy is based on. But hey, sorry. You need to make interesting fights and matchups to sell to a larger public right now.
Yeah,
and then the sport will get better and bigger and have more depth.
Yeah, and I just feel like someone like a Nicola Adams, who's now obviously retired, she could do a good thing, going around, because women in gyms is a big thing now at the moment, especially like this side of things. A lot of women attending boxing gyms, so just go to talk to these women, be that role model. I mean, she's already kind of done that, double gold, and at the Olympics and things like that. It didn't quite translate to the pro game, but she could be a big influencer and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe in a few years to come, after maybe Katie Taylor's finished her career and whatever, the next wave, and we'll perhaps have slightly deeper divisions.
I think we will, for sure.
Yeah, you'd like to think so and hope so. So
just the odds of the law of averages, naturally, this thing is just progressing, and naturally every year we get deeper divisions in women's boxing. So the next year we're gonna get a deeper division, the next year we're gonna get deeper divisions, and so on and so forth. And again, women's boxing, relatively, it's only 30, 40 years old, right? At most, right? Layla Ali was in the 90s boxing. That's really the start of women's boxing, let's be honest. Was Layla Ali and then Christy Martin and stuff, right?
That was in the 90s. Yes, that's 20 years ago.
30 years ago. It's 2020 now, man.
Wow.
You're old, I know. But men's boxing, male boxing, has been at the highest level of sports and public consciousness since 1885. It's over 100-something years old. There's just a complete difference of time and maturity of the sports. Same thing that we talk about with MMA in a way, right? In sort of the fandom. MMA fans are really immature when it comes to fighters getting hurt or dying or brain damage. Why? Because the fandom is young. It's only a 30-year sport, so the maturity of the sport is young comparative to boxing. But digressing from that. Brief rundown of fights this weekend, because this is going to be our review of the fights, or a preview of the fights, because there's not that many. November 14th on DAZN and Ring TV, Carlos Morales fighting Mercito Gesta. On November 15th, ESPN Plus, Rocky Fielding back against Abdallah Patson Pazzi. Martin Murray on the card, Terry Flanagan on the card, Tasha Jonas on the card. John Quigley, is that any relation to Jason Quigley?
I don't know.
Just curious.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Rob, any thoughts on that Liverpool card?
Yeah, MTK card. They've been going really well. People, they've produced some good fights. Who was it? Ward and who's the guy? Buatsi? Was it the guy who Buatsi knocked out? Conroy?
Liam Conroy?
I don't know, but it was an absolute hell of a fight. It was an amazing fight, and I think they're now in the Golden Contract tournament that will be on Sky in the light heavyweight division. But good to see Rocky Fielding back. He's going to make his comeback. Then he crushed his toe into the skirting board in the house, the floorboard or whatever, and kept him out. But yeah, back in there, and then some names like Martin Murray and things like that. So yeah, I'll be watching. I usually catch those like on the YouTube.
That's a Friday, right?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yes, that's a good Friday card. I like that one.
Yeah.
The Morales Hester fight's interesting. Guys who don't know Morales' background, he didn't win any of his first 4 or 5 fights.
Yeah.
So I mean, where he's gone from here is pretty impressive. You get a win over Hester. Now you're talking about him being maybe a top 10 to 50. It's an interesting fight. And I don't have any interest in it other than I kind of want to see Morales take this to step farther. He almost beat Ryan Garcia. He was right there with King Rye. And then who did he lose to after that? It was another competitive fight. The guy's kind of from where he started to where he is now is incredible. And it's like a fun story to root for.
I agree. What else? I like to see Terry Flanagan back. I always liked Terry Flanagan as a boxer. Showtime card. This game take place right after the Sonny Liston documentary. Excuse me. That comes out on Friday, which I am 100% going to want to watch and pay attention to live. So I might even do a little live, not reaction, but a little reaction video to that documentary because that thing looks like it's going to be amazing. But there's a Showtime card taking place right after it in. It's not Mulvane, Kansas, but it's close. Sloan, Iowa. What? Sloan, Iowa. Have you heard of that, Gary? I've never heard of Sloan, Iowa.
I've heard of it before. Why? Josh Greer fought there, I think, on a Showbox card once.
It must be a casino out there.
Probably. Yeah, I that's the only reason why I've heard of. I couldn't find it. I know it's in Iowa.
Sloan, Iowa. Where
I have
Eric Vega Ortiz versus Alberto Palmetta. Marcos Escoedo versus Joseph George. Amilcar Vidal versus Zach Preto. Jonathan Escueva versus Bryant McLean. Nothing really to write home about. ESPN Plus on Friday as well in Australia. The Maloney brothers, Jason and Andrew Maloney, fighting Dixon Flores and Elton Dari, respectively. I have no idea who those guys are. Junior Fa fighting against Devin Vargas on a UFC Fight Pass card in Salt Lake City.
I didn't know they did boxing there.
The Mormons, I didn't know they did boxing. Dennis Douglin on the card. I've always liked Dennis Douglin. He's always just a good guy. Who else? That Dominic Basel and Sven Forling fight for the vacant WBA interim bullshit title in Germany. That's been picked up by ESPN Plus. By the way, ESPN Plus also having the Lee McGregor and Cash Farrock card in Scotland for the Commonwealth belt. I know Rob loves that one. And the British Bantamweight belt. Ooh. Both Commonwealth and the British titles on the line. Whoa.
Double dipper there.
Strap season.
Double dip in there.
Strap season.
Which one's more prestigious? The Commonwealth?
Nah, fuck that shit.
If
you win and defend the British free time, you get to keep it. You get your own. That means a lot to British fighters.
Quickly,
belt.
Leonard Sterling in the chat saying Persoon versus Mayer now. Persoon has gone down to 130 pounds. She won an interim WBA 130-pound title. I want to be opposed to a Persoon Mayer fight.
Persoon versus Selena Barrios.
Why do you want Barrios to get just destroyed, man? What do you?
Well, let her get a chance. Let her have a moment. Let's see what she's all about.
Also, Gary, Leonard called you out, basically saying, "What the fuck are you talking about, Gary? Serrano was champion last year at 140 pounds, and she's been 135 pound champion. I can't remember what you said because I zoned out.
I said I don't know how you're gonna make the weight classes work with Serrano, and she was a champion at 140.
Uh-huh.
All right.
I think
who said that, by the way?
She started. You have to remember.
Is big into the women's scene.
You have to remember here, Garrett, that Serrano started high, then went down in weight class, not the opposite. She didn't start low and then worked her way up weight classes. She did the reverse.
Just look at her. She looks little, though. She looks small, you know? She doesn't look the size of Katie Taylor. Does she, to you?
Well, it's just different frames.
Yeah.
Taylor's a little stocky, you know? Like, she's a little tank.
Canelo type. Like,
yeah.
Shortish, but sort of a bit thicker set.
Well, Serrano has, like, limbs. She has those long limbs that are fucking windmills. Not like Wilder windmills, but you get my drift.
KSI windmills.
Also, there's a Pablo Cesar Cano card against Roberto Ortiz on Golden Boy Facebook Watch.
That's the one right there. Who's hyped for Pablo Cesar Cano?
Hey, he just knocked out Jorge Linares.
He did. Here's two guys who played B-side on a trillion cards. And Cano finally got the win. Although Cano arguably beat Paulie Malignaggi too when they opened up the whatever that stadium's called in Brooklyn, Barclays Center.
Yeah.
And Paulie got a very beneficial hometown decision. He got knocked down. He lost about the last 4 rounds, and he got a very
piece of shit.
You disrespect boxing, you piece of shit.
But anyways, guys, that's it for the fights, and that's it for the show.
Oh.
Final thoughts.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a slow day, to be honest.
Yeah, it has been a little bit. You keep taking a day off to clip the shows instead of doing another show.
But you would think that would make the shows, with more depth.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no.
It's just a dead week. There's no fights. That's why there's no news.
I tweeted Coppinger earlier. So what's the matter? Is the sauce dried up? What's going on? But yeah.
Next week is going to be a better week. Obviously, we have more fights next week. That's what matters, right? Like if there's no fights on for the week, the industry just doesn't move, man. It just stays in one place.
What is it? What's next month?
Well, next week, next month, or next?
Well, next sort of fights coming.
Well, Wilder Ortiz is next week.
Oh, Smith and what's it? Also,
is Smith Ryder next week too?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting about that one.
We get that, and then it leads into that, and then also, who's the gas worker? Digs the holes. Cancer, is it?
Ooh, Cancer's fight next weekend. Shit.
Cancer's fight.
He is against Rene Alvarado, and Zhu Shen against Manny Robles III. Oh.
Yeah, so a good week next week.
And also, speaking of Rashidi Ellis, he's on that card against Eddie Gomez. Avery Sparrow is on that Cancer card.
Out of jail.
Wow. Alex Racon on that card. That's a little sneaky good card there from DAZN. I like it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier regarding Cancio who said the only legit world champion to have a regular belt. That's true, right?
It's kind of true. I mean, we do respect Cancio far more than regular champions.
Took it off. Who was it?
Machado
and gave it Tank. And anyway,
final thoughts. Let people know where to find you.
Final thoughts. UK Rob, MCR, Instagram and Twitter. I know Matt's had his whole KSI Logan Paul thing going on.
Just staying on boxing.
And now it's on BoxRec. KSI is currently the 54th out of 56 best cruiserweights in the UK, and he's like the 800 and something best cruiserweight in the world out of 1200.
Wait, there's 2 cruiserweights worse than him
in the UK, but there's about
who are they? I need to see. This matters. If it's Lawrence Okolie, I'll be rolling in my grave.
That'd be ridiculous.
Because that's great. That would be Gray Johnson just trolling the show. Good supporter of MCR too.
The names are Michael Ibrahim and Matthew Tinker.
I feel like I've heard Matthew Tinker.
They have on the points. Is it 0.000, whereas KSI has 0.002 point on BoxRec on the ranking system, however they do it.
That's great.
But yeah, I just thought I'd drop that knowledge.
Next, you're going to see him fight Yunero Dorticos with the Undisputed Championship.
I mean, one of those windmills land, you never know. But anyway, yeah, hit the thumbs up, share the show. Hopefully we can just get over this KSI thing, because I know Matt gets super testy over it and he can't help it. Just
shame on you, DAZN. Shame on you, DAZN.
Apparently a hipster, but this mainstream stuff, he doesn't like it. You know, these big numbers and
no. Fuck
11.5 million on highlights right now on DAZN.
Yo, DAZN, Joe Murkowski, everyone involved, please sit the fuck down and listen to your consumers for once.
And remember,
please.
if you can't say his surname, just say VP Joe.
Find me Matchroom on all platforms. Gary, what's up?
The problem with like why this KSI Logan Paul thing is carrying over is because it's such a slow week of boxing. Like if we had a big fight coming up this week, we'd be done with it. Unfortunately, you know, there's not much to report about this week, so it lingers on. Find me at all forms of on social media, 3D Boxing. God bless, and see you on the next one.
Peace.
I'm Phil. I'm very Phil.